The aviation industry continues to develop with an aircraft retirement, struggling carriers, a new order, and a bit more. Stay tuned for all the latest aviation news and developments.
BBL 851, turn right heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
We'll begin proceedings with a focus on the Boeing 777. You might recall United Airlines Flight 328, which occurred on the 20th of February 2021, and since then, the Boeing 777s, specifically with the Pratt & Whitney PW4000 engines, have been undergoing inspections to determine the cause of the incident and whether or not it is isolated, and in addition, whether it could happen on other Boeing 777s as well. As a result, the engine manufacturer has been heavily questioned, and once again, sadly, Boeing has seen their fleet of aircraft targeted, with many not acknowledging the engine's fault in the matter, and if anything, the structural integrity that the Boeing 777 showed as an aircraft itself to ensure that the type faced no substantial fuselage damage during the incident. Japan Airlines, though, which is the focus for this segment, is an operator of the Boeing 777 aircraft, and had plans following the introduction of the pandemic to say goodbye to their wide-body aircraft, that being the 777, by 2022, in what was already an acceleration on initial retirement plans. This not being the first airline to rapidly accelerate the retirement of aircraft in favour of more fuel-efficient types. However, following the incident involving the PW4000 engine series, it has left their Boeing 777s grounded, and with retirement imminent anyway, the airline has pulled the plug on a total of 13 Boeing 777s that have the Pratt & Whitney engines. These aircraft will leave with immediate effect rather than initially the airline retiring them in March of 2022. The carrier has a total of 20 of the Boeing 777s within its operations, with that of the 777-200 and also the 777-300 within their network, which means a total of 7 will remain for the next year. The Airbus A350s are also being noted to come in and help with domestic operations for now, and the other aircraft within their network will be used for international services as the world continues to progressively open up as time goes on. Earlier this week, I discussed how Airbus were potentially eyeing up the A380 converted freighter option thanks to news from FreightWaves, and now that has been given the update that I think a lot of us all saw coming, and something that I actually hinted at with regards to Emirates, the largest customer for the aircraft. New developments indicate that the Airbus A380 converted freighter option is simply not going to work for the airline that has over 100 within their fleet portfolio. Tim Clark has always remained adamant that the A380 works for them how it is, and I personally couldn't see this option being something that would be desirable for them moving forward. It is said that the aircraft would be far too expensive and a dubious business case. Basically, in simple terms, it means that the aircraft would not be reliable and is not something that the Dubai-based airline could rely on moving forward to provide them with any form of success or potential high returns. If you're interested in watching my deep dive analysis into the A380F, you can do so on the channel. However, for now, it would be apparent that the aircraft is probably not going to see the light of day, and if anything, Airbus may look towards other avenues like that of the potential A350 freighter, which would not be converted. It would be a basic clean sheet design just based off the A350, naturally with a cargo hold throughout, rather than passengers being able to be on board the aircraft. I would also make the case that an A380 converted freighter was never going to go ahead, but of course discussions surrounding it have of course popped back up, especially with now production coming to a close on the Airbus A380. Airbus is looking at whatever possible to extend the life of the aircraft, and a converted freighter is basically the go-to option for them. Even if it doesn't work, it is worth bringing it up and offering it to existing customers of the type that haven't already pulled the plug. The next story focuses on Italian carrier Alitalia, who have been consistently in troubles over recent years and actively looking for a buyer. We've also seen the failed Air Italy come and go, and while Alitalia has remained there in place as the sole flag carrier, they've had to fend off a lot of competition, and in addition, their poor financial state, which is really overtaking them now. We've even seen names like that of Lufthansa, big carriers like Delta and even EasyJet be rumoured and noted as interested parties. None of these, though, in the past couple of years have fabricated into anything, and it's left the airline to put in the most simple and short ways possible, have no money left, or basically be running out of money at a ridiculous rate. According to Bloomberg and Reuters, Alitalia is now struggling to operate. Having been under administration for some 4 years now, the airline has been able to stay afloat in the past from backing directly coming from the Italian government, something though that isn't going to be happening given just how poorly they've been performing. And Alitalia is not the first airline to see their country's governments pull out of the funding and support. Norwegian saw this very, very quickly with the government in Norway. South African Airways has also seen this with the government in South Africa. They'll only put in money for so long, especially if you continue to fail. There is simply no point, and it becomes a bad business venture. And of course, the government continues to waste money on a failing carrier. They might as well make a new one. And that's something I'm going to dive into in this video. The Italian government is actually now basically looking to scrap Alitalia and in turn what remains of it. If anything, they want to turn it into a smaller carrier, a smaller new carrier. However, plans for this sleeker carrier that would end the years of suffering for Alitalia is actually seeing problems come from the European Union, which are opposing such a decision from the Italian government. Italy has said that it's willing to inject some 3 billion euros into the new company that would be smaller. However, the exact specifics behind that money not heading to Alitalia and crucial assets going from Alitalia have put plans quite literally in the air, and whether or not it goes ahead remains to be seen. What is confirmed, though, is that something needs to be organised with immediate effect, if you will, as time runs out for the Italian flag carrier, and maybe it would be best to just scrap it, even though we have employees there. The carrier was actually only able to pay its current workforce of 11,000, half of their monthly salaries for last month being March. And like I've said, the pandemic is never good for anyone, but for certain airlines it comes at completely the wrong time, and that is the case for Alitalia most definitely. Obviously, we're going to be wishing Alitalia all the very best, and I will keep a very, very close track on their developments, but I'd argue that we're basically seeing them being a beaten ship that is just continuing to stay afloat, and maybe after 4 years of being into administration, something is finally going to change on that front. Our final focus for today's video sits with an interesting development from UPS, who have announced a deal to purchase electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, also known as eVTOL, if you will, from Beta Technologies for its small and mid-sized markets. The aircraft are set to depart not from an airport, but actually the facilities of UPS in a quiet way, and according to the brand will reduce operating costs, reduce time in transit, vehicle emissions, and so on. The aircraft has a 1,400 pound capacity and can transport small time-sensitive deliveries with a range of some 250 miles and a cruising range of some 170 miles per hour. The chief operating officer at UPS said, "This is all about innovation, with a focus on returns for our business, our customers, and the environment. These new aircraft will create operational efficiencies in our business, open possibilities for new services, and serve as a foundation for future solutions to reduce the emissions profile of our air and ground operations." The aircraft, which looks like something out of the future, will also come with recharging stations to allow UPS to have seamless and efficient charging methods to keep their aircraft integrated within their operations, and of course transporting those all-important sensitive items that UPS quotes is one of the key reasons as to why they've made this purchase. That's going to conclude today's video. If you have any thoughts on some of these topics, whether it be the very interesting order coming from UPS or the situation at Alitalia, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And like always, thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you haven't already, feel free to join up to the Discord server with the link in the description or with the permanent invite code of discord.gg/aviation. Until the next video, take care and be safe.